Before you listen, you now have 30 seconds to read questions 1 to 10. Good morning, Oak Ridge Community Workshop. Sarah speaking. How can I help you?
Hello, Sarah. My name is Thomas, and I'm interested in signing up for a membership and enrolling in one of your evening courses.
Great, Thomas. I can take your details right now to fill out the registration form. What is your surname?
It's Garrett. That's spelled Garrard.
Thanks, Garrett. And your address, please.
I live at 42 Fulton Street in Oak Ridge. That's Fulton.
Got it. And what's your postcode?
It is OK9 4PT.
OK9 4PT, perfect. Now, I just need to record your current occupation for our demographic records, if you don't mind.
Sure, I work as an accountant.
Accountant, excellent. We have a few evening classes available. Which one were you looking to join?
I saw you have a class on cabinet making. I'd love to try that.
Yes, that's one of our most popular ones. It's focused on cabinet making. It runs on a few different evenings. We have sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Which one works best?
Thursday is definitely better for me, as I have football on Tuesdays.
Thursday evening it is. And how would you like to pay for the term? We accept credit cards, bank transfers, or check.
I'll pay by check if that's all right. I can bring it with me on the first day.
That's fine. We also need an emergency contact name, just in case.
I'll give you my brother's name. It's Marcus. That's Marcus.
Great, Marcus. And how did you first hear about our workshop? Did you see our website?
Actually, I was in the local library and I picked up a flyer from a notice board.
Ah, the library flyer. Glad to know those are working. Your course starts on the 12th of October. Will you be ready by then?
Yes, the 12th of October is perfect. I'll see you then.
That is the end of part 1. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers. Before you listen, you now have 30 seconds to read questions 11 to 20.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to this informational session about the Greenway Nature Reserve. My name is Michael, and I'm the Reserve Coordinator here. I'm delighted to share some updates about our reopening plans. As many of you know, the reserve has been closed to the public for the last 6 months. While some people thought this was to protect nesting birds, or because we were planning to construct our new visitor center, the real reason was that we had to repair damaged pathways. Heavy winter rainfall caused severe erosion along the riverbank trails, making them unsafe. Happily, those tracks have now been completely resurfaced and reinforced. Now that we are reopening next week, we are restarting our guided tours. There's an important change this year. In the past, people could just turn up on the day and join a tour, but due to high demand and limited staff, they must be booked in advance now. We have plenty of slots, and although we'd love to run them every single day, they will still only take place on weekends. To keep the reserve running, we rely heavily on volunteers. We currently have enough people helping with tree planting, and our wildlife surveyors are fully staffed for the season. However, what we are desperately short of right now is education assistants. We have hundreds of local school children visiting every week, and we need volunteers to help guide these groups and run activities. If you do decide to visit us, please note that parking arrangements have changed. The main entrance car park is undergoing renovation, and parking along the side road is strictly prohibited by the council. Therefore, we've arranged for visitors to park behind the community hall, which is just a short, 5-minute walk from our gate. Finally, don't forget to stop by our small reserve shop on your way out. Although we hope to sell our own honey next year, and we are still looking for a supply of postcards, we currently have a beautiful range of wooden carvings made by local craftsmen using timber cleared from our woodlands during maintenance. Now, let me give you some quick guidelines for those interested in volunteering. Because the terrain is very rough and uneven, all volunteers must wear strong boots. Sandals or trainers are not permitted for safety reasons. We also ask for a serious commitment. We require a minimum of 3 months from anyone who signs up to ensure continuity. In return, we try to look after our volunteers well. We can't offer a full meal, but free soup is provided in our kitchen during the lunchtime break, along with tea and coffee. You will also get to learn new skills. We ensure everyone receives training in how to use various tools safely, which is a great asset for your CV. And last but not least, to show our appreciation, there is an annual party held at the end of summer to celebrate everyone's hard work.
That is the end of part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers. Before you listen, you now have 30 seconds to read questions 21 to 30.
Come in, Simon, Liam. Take a seat. How are your preparations going for next week's presentation on agricultural technology?
Hi, Dr. Andrews. They're going well, thanks. We've decided to focus specifically on vertical farming. Yes, we chose it because we are both really interested in urban food security, especially with cities growing so fast. It seemed much more relevant than standard greenhouse farming, even though our first instinct was to look at traditional crop rotation because my family does that.
A very timely topic. Have you found any interesting research?
Definitely. I was actually surprised by the variety of crops they can grow. I always assumed vertical farms were limited to leafy greens, like lettuce and herbs, but we found case studies showing they're successfully growing root vegetables like radishes and carrots now. Yes, though the energy consumption is still a major drawback because of the artificial lighting. We were thinking of showing a short video clip during our talk to demonstrate this.
Let's think about that. How long is the video?
It's about 4 minutes long. It's really informative.
Well, remember your entire presentation is only 10 minutes. If you spend 4 minutes on a video, you won't have enough time to explain your own analysis. It's better to explain the concepts yourself.
Good point. We'll skip the video and just use a diagram instead.
I've had a quick look at your draft slides. The structure is logical, but you've put too many words on each slide. Your audience will spend all their time reading instead of listening to you. I highly recommend reducing the amount of text. Keep your bullet points short and punchy.
Okay, we can definitely edit those down.
And what are the next steps before we meet again on Friday?
Well, I need to draft the introduction. I'll write up the opening remarks so we have a strong start. Liam was going to look at the financial costs, but we might save that for later. Yes, I'll focus on other tasks first.
Excellent. Now let's divide the remaining research tasks. Who is going to contact a local vertical farm operator for an interview?
I can do that. I actually met a manager of a facility in the city centre last month, so I'll send him an email today.
Great. And what about analyzing the carbon footprint data you found?
I'll take that on. I love dealing with statistics and raw data, so that's a good fit for me.
Perfect, Simon. Now, what about designing the final presentation slides?
I think we should do that together. It's easier if we both sit down at one laptop and agree on the layout and visuals. I agree. Let's do that on Wednesday afternoon.
Good plan. There's also the task of writing the summary of advantages for the handout.
I'll write the advantages. I've already collected most of the articles on that topic, and I'll handle the disadvantages. I also need to proofread the bibliography to make sure all our academic references are correctly formatted. I'm quite particular about citation styles.
Excellent division of labor. I look forward to seeing your progress on Friday.
That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers. Before you listen, you now have 30 seconds to read questions 31 to 40. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are continuing our lecture series on the history of science and technology by looking at the development of cartography, or map making. Maps are so ubiquitous today, especially on our smartphones, that we easily take them for granted. However, the journey to our modern, GPS-enabled world has been a long and fascinating one. Let's start with the earliest maps. Before the invention of writing, early humans needed ways to represent their physical surroundings. The earliest known map-like representations were found not on paper, of course, but on the walls of caves in Europe, dating back over 15,000 years. These drawings did not show roads, but rather the migration routes of animals and the positions of prominent stars. As civilizations grew, mapping became more systematic. In ancient Babylon, around 4,000 years ago, maps were etched onto clay tablets. These were highly practical documents. They often depicted local agricultural areas, and their primary purpose was to resolve disputes over land ownership. Fast forward to the 15th century, which marked the beginning of the golden age of cartography. Two major events catalyzed this era. The first was the invention of the printing press in Europe. Before this, every map had to be laboriously copied by hand, meaning they were rare and expensive. Printing allowed maps to be mass-produced and distributed rapidly to merchants and explorers. The second catalyst was the age of maritime exploration. Sailors crossing open oceans could no longer rely on landmarks. They began using a tool called the astrolabe, which measured the position of stars above the horizon, allowing sailors to calculate their latitude with remarkable accuracy. In 1569, Gerardus Mercator created his famous map projection. While his map distorted the size of land masses near the poles, it was revolutionary because it preserved directions. This meant a sailor could draw a straight line between 2 points on the map and follow that constant compass bearing to reach their destination. Let's transition now to modern mapping techniques, which took a massive leap forward in the 20th century. The advent of flight changed everything. Early aerial mapping relied on cameras attached to balloons during World War I, providing a bird's-eye view of trenches and geographical features. Later, airplanes took over this role, but weather conditions often interfered with visibility. This issue was resolved in the mid-20th century with the introduction of radar technology. Unlike optical cameras, radar can penetrate clouds and darkness, allowing scientists to gather precise elevation measurements of the Earth's surface in any weather. Today, of course, we rely on the Global Positioning System, or GPS. This network of satellites continuously transmits radio signals down to Earth. By measuring the fraction of a second it takes for these signals to reach a receiver, the system can calculate a user's exact position anywhere on the globe. In the modern era, mapping is no longer just about showing where things are, it's about analyzing data using Geographic Information Systems, or GIS. For example, urban planners in cities use spatial data to plan the layout of complex transport systems, ensuring that bus and rail lines meet the needs of growing populations. Similarly, environmentalists utilize GIS to track ecological changes. Currently, one of its most critical applications is to monitor the loss of habitats in tropical rainforests, allowing conservationists to identify where illegal logging is occurring in real time. In next week's lecture, we will look at.
That is the end of the listening test. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers.